I was just in the middle of stripping the bonnet back, and of course it's aluminium, so I've got to be careful. I've used paint stripper, and I'm using a hot air gun now, which seems to work quite well. But it's interesting because it appears as though it's had several repairs in different stages. There's some filler there, which is a bit difficult to see, but it's been put over the original paint, which is there. So there's some evidence of some filling at some point probably earlier in the car's history. And then there's sort of really weird stuff like some orange paint there, and also a few speckles of what looks like British racing green. So a bit of interesting archaeology, but I guess I'll never know the history of the car. July, 5th of July actually I think, and I'm just in the process of sanding up the bonnet, which is a bit dinged. This is the existing paint, and it's quite easy to see here. These are all low spots, which is quite good because it means that the existing paint is a bit like a reveal coat of some sort. I've just finished putting the muffler on, the exhaust pipe on the car, which is covered at the moment, and I'm stripping the doors down just there. One of them's a bit knocked around. This one isn't too bad, but the other one's a bit dented, a bit knocked around. I broke off a manifold stud, not a manifold stud, an exhaust stud to manifold, so I've got to pull that off again now and redo it, which is a bit of a nuisance. But it's a slow process, but it's coming along. It's about the 20th of August 2011, and I started putting the car apart in October 2009, so we're coming up to 2 years away, and I've just finished putting what will hopefully be the final coat of primer onto the bonnet, the boot and the two doors. Now these panels are really quite badly knocked around, and I've put about 6 coats of primer on there and then blocked them back with a reveal coat. Lot of work, and now I've just put another 5 coats of primer. I blocked them back with 240 wet rub, and now there's another 5 coats of primer on top, which I will now block back with some 800, and then hopefully get the colour coat on over the top. I think the panels, it's a bit hard to tell of course, but they seem to be pretty straight now. A lot of work, hours and hours and hours of work, and they do seem to be pretty straight. I'm a bit worried that there's a slight sort of, hard to describe, but almost an oil canning effect. This door seems to be slightly out of shape just here. It's very, very subtle, and I'm even not sure whether it's my imagination or not. So hopefully when I get a good coat of gloss on there, the reflection from the gloss will sort of tend to obviate that what might be a slight misshape there on the driver's side door. Very hard to straighten these panels, very difficult to get in behind them because of a lot of the bracing, and of course they're aluminium, which makes it even harder. I had to have, the previous owner had fitted some sort of door lock, or attempted to, and had left a round hole about the size of a 20-cent piece in the corner here, so I had to get a new piece of aluminium welded in there, and it did a pretty good job. I think that'll be fine. That won't show. You can see it a little bit from the inside, but I'm not too fussed about that. So there we go, and hopefully tomorrow we'll get a colour coat on these. The weather is now starting to warm up a little bit, 18 degrees today, and I think 19 or 20 tomorrow, and then low 20s for the next few days. So after the winter, which has been a bit miserable and wet, it's starting to get to a temperature now where I can spray again. So hopefully this will be a different colour tomorrow. Red. Well, I succeeded in painting the bonnet and the doors, and they're fitted. And the boot, it's the 24th of August today, went reasonably smoothly. They haven't been cut and polished yet, but they're pretty straight considering they're a bit knocked around to start with. So I think I'm quite happy with that, and that they will come up okay when they're all buffed. That one looks a bit flat there because it hasn't been buffed yet, but that'll come up. I've tried a little bit of hand buffing just for literally about 20 seconds on there, and it's already started to come up, but I want to let it harden off and, to a reasonable standard. Bonnets on these cars are notoriously difficult to fit. I haven't actually put that on the hinges yet, it's just sitting on there, but I'll do that when I've got time. I don't want to rush that. Doors have come out pretty well, they're pretty straight. The bottom gap along there is quite good. I haven't bothered to shim these or anything yet, they're just put in place. No point trying to fit anything really until the guards go on, because that's where you've got to get all your edges, which will probably be quite tricky, but they're not a bad fit, and they both seem to be the same size, and they're pretty straight, because these big flat panels are quite hard to get straight. I put a lot of effort into blocking them back and priming them and filling them, and hopefully they'll look good when they're all buffed up. There's not much filler in there, just in places where I couldn't get at. And the boot is on, again not buffed up. You can see the marks in there. In fact, I haven't buffed any of this back panel up yet, apart from a small section there by the fuel cap filler, but this fits okay. I blocked off the boot lock just there, just in case it locked itself, although I can get at it through the spare wheel hole, but I think that's pretty good. It's supposed to have a bit of spring in it like that, so that when you release it, it pops up with the rubber seal around it, so you can get your fingers underneath. So all in all, I think I'm pretty happy with that. And the only big stuff left to do now is the guards. I'll probably start with the rear guard, I reckon, and I'll order some new dog legs. I made some dog legs for them and welded them in, and they don't look too bad, but I think I'll order some nice new ones from Kilmartin. They're a reasonable price and pretty critical area of the car. So hopefully, not bad really. I started in October 2 years ago. It's now August, and I allowed 2 years. I hoped that 2 years I'd get it done. Whether I will get it done or not by October, August, September, October, probably not. But maybe early in the new year with a bit of luck, because I'm pretty anxious to take the old girl for a spin again.